talk about trauma-informed classrooms. I love that. I would love to know more about what are these trauma-informed classrooms.
In the work that I do with teachers and educators, school systems, we talk a lot about trauma-informed classrooms. And the first part of that is, again, understanding how trauma affects the brain, how it affects development, because teachers are there to educate students, to teach them new information. But what we know about trauma-informed practice is that the child's ability to access that level of learning is very dependent on how safe they feel, how supported they feel in their classrooms. And when we can create environments where children feel safe, they feel connected, and they have opportunities to meet their sensory needs in the classroom, their ability to learn and to grow and develop relationships will be so much better. The additional benefit of that is teachers then find when they create spaces and routines in their classrooms of safety, the ability to manage behavior is really impacted because now they don't spend as much time managing the outcomes of dysregulated nervous systems through rewards, punishments, all of those loss things, but they really are supporting the nervous system so that children can access that higher level. And then at the times when children may be having a harder time, when we understand more, we can come at that same situation with more compassion. And then our support systems can be not in line with how do we make that student feel ashamed or feel embarrassed and that they're not meeting that standard, but we really come from this place of how can we support you so that you can do the things that you need to do. And it just feels so different. So I feel that for some of our students, if they are in a home situation that may still be very unpredictable and very unsafe, and that's not a place where they feel secure, what we know is that the school situation, that predictability and routine and relationship, if they only have that in their school situation, we can still create significant change in children and helping them to process information and have that success and resilience. So I think that, again, it's part of that building community around children, that when we have both school supports that are aligned with this vision, and ideally homes as well, we can create this really supportive network around children.
Yeah, so it's like it's not just about behavior, it's about the relationship. That's what it is about, right?
It is. It's about meeting their nervous system, their regulation needs, especially if they're, hyper aroused. If they're very aware of, the sound of the fan or, the movement in the classroom, it's going to be really hard for them to, learn to read or to focus in on a book. When we can meet those sensory needs and meet the relationship needs, it's the only way that we can access that level of highest learning.
Mm-hmm. Meeting the sensory needs and the relationship needs. That's beautiful. So what what is mindfulness? We know about mindfulness as adults, but it's so difficult to teach that concept to kids and to kids who are neurodiverse. So how do you do that?
I have loved working alongside some of these brilliant programs, such as the zones of regulation, the interoception curriculum, that support this concept of being aware in this present moment of your surroundings, of the inner workings of your body. And I think that in some definitions of mindfulness, it seems very abstract, that we need to take a breath, that we need to stretch, that we need to notice nature. But for a child, that can feel very confusing. And what I love about mindfulness with children is we can make it just really tangible. And it doesn't have to be, seated and eyes closed and relaxed. Mindfulness can be just noticing that moment. It can be noticing that when I ran really fast and I was doing all that climbing, you notice, oh, my heart is beating so fast. My breathing is louder. That natural mindfulness and just drawing attention to how our bodies communicate with us and how fast our thoughts are, how slow our thoughts are. When we just naturally draw attention to that, to me, that is mindfulness made tangible.
So we kind of help the child have more like an interoceptive awareness, that this is what's happening to my body, and maybe giving them an emotional vocabulary that this is when I feel this is what this emotion is. That's it. That's all. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think that, again, this isn't something that we've taught. And what I found in my practice is that we, even as adults, we don't have strong emotional vocabulary. We often hear, I'm happy, I'm mad, or I'm sad. And the human experience is so much more complex. And when we can draw awareness to the way that our bodies communicate with us, again, it supports that emotional vocabulary to develop past those three foundational words and to explore, oh, are you feeling terrified or are you feeling scared? Are you feeling sad or are you feeling jealous? Right? So we explore these words in just a gentle way without judgment, because I think so often this is where behavior and emotion can get mixed up, because children may have an awareness that, well, I shouldn't be mad. I shouldn't feel sad. I shouldn't feel these negative emotions. So what they learn is that I will put a label that I'm happy, I'm okay, but really they're not. They're feeling nervous or they're feeling overwhelmed. And when we can create mindful space to just accept whatever they're feeling, it allows us to align our strategies that are more in tune with what they're really feeling.
Yeah, it's like there's a journey for every emotion, and that there's a journey where we become aware, we speak about it, and someone validates it for us like a co-regulating partner. And when that's not done, it stays within us. And kids, they feel it, but they don't know what it is, and that sometimes become the source of that frustration or that anger or that meltdown or a tantrum. So yeah, this is such a small little tip but so beautiful, and definitely will bring in more interoceptive awareness or mindfulness.
And I think too, it just made me think when you were saying that, a co-regulation partner. And one thing I've noticed in the children I've worked with and in my own children, when I labeled my own emotion, when I said, I'm feeling nervous or I'm feeling a little bit afraid, and children would look at me and think, what? What? You're an adult. You shouldn't feel that way. And when I could open that door to say, oh no, even adults sometimes feel afraid, even adults sometimes feel angry or frustrated, it gave permission. And I think that's the next level of that co-regulation, to be able to say, we feel that way too, although we show it in different ways.
Yeah, I love that. You know what? My in just the last month, I mean, for people who are listening, we are interviewing Kari in the month of May, and in April, it was my dad's birthday. I lost my dad 10 years back, and I still remember him. Our parents stay with us forever in our memories. So I lost him in the last week of May and April. not lost him. It was his birthday in April. And that's when, on those days, I was really remembering him and I was crying. And my son came to me and he's like, "Why are you crying?" But I said, "Because I remember him, I miss him." So he's like, "But you know, you shouldn't be crying." I said, "But I allow myself to cry when I feel like crying. I don't want to stay there crying forever. I give myself that permission. And when I'm done, I'll be back to feeling the way I want to feel. I want to respect my emotions." And he says, "It's okay to feel, because boys, especially, I don't know how it's there in Canada, boys are not supposed, they're supposed to be strong, they're supposed to be like, you can't behave like a girl. That's how, the
Yes.
common statement is." And I'm like, "It's okay, come on." One of the days my son was not very happy and he wanted to cry it out, and my mom is like, "You're not a girl, you can't do that." I said, "Come on, don't tell that. He has all the permission to express his emotions. Being a girl doesn't mean you have permission." It was
Right?
yeah.